Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Manchester, England review. Now, we did not get many matches. We only got about 4. Almost nothing. This was all story-driven. And I'm sure many people are not always fond of storylines. You're not. You just want to see some action. But let's be honest here. What makes wrestling great is rehashing old storylines with new faces. Yes, we're still working with the same old kind of storyline of power struggle in the TNA. But we got new people in the storyline that we've never seen. And over 60 years, that's what's been going on all the time. So I'm actually not upset about that. I'm going to get to the matches first. Samoa Joe versus Bromance and Ion. He comes to the ring and says, I can't wait for my match at Lockdown, which was also nice to say and nice to see him do this. And the Manchester crowd, I have my feelings about that at the end if I don't forget. But you understand that the Manchester crowd, the UK crowd, is always way more interesting unless it's one of the special states in the United States. Joe basically demolishes them. And Ion's the one who taps out again to Joe. But what does this mean? This really goes into Lockdown, which I'm alright with. They really shitted very badly on Joe for so many years. From 2010, when I started really, around 2009 I saw the product. But I really started getting into it in 2010 when I wasn't able to work. Because I had time to look at it. And honestly, Joe has been shitted on so badly. It's ridiculous. It's fucking redonkulous. That's the best word to say. But I'm glad to see that giving him something. He is, in my humble perspective, the best credible threat you can actually have against Magnus. No one else at this time has been built as well as that, other than AJ Styles. And you know what happened there. Now, the next match, which I really didn't care that much about. Madison Rayne versus Gail Kim. I really don't care about that. I don't care about these women. Not saying that if any one of those two women, Madison Rayne and Gail Kim, were right next to me and say, do you want me? Don't think I won't say, let's go. I'm not a high maintenance kind of guy. I am a down to earth kind of guy that'll take what I'm given. That's just me. I'm a very friendly man, ladies. That's just me. I don't care. You don't always need to wear makeup to make me happy. But anyway, the street fight at least was a decent change up of what we get. They wanted to give the Manchester crowd something to sink their teeth into, and they did run with it to a certain point. But I noticed something during the match. And of course we know that Madison Rayne did not win. The point of this is that Leda Tappa, to my humble perspective, has not really been, how can I say this? TNA doesn't believe that she's ready yet. And I believe one of the reasons why that they don't believe she's ready is that she does not have anyone to work with. Now, of course, they can change their mind and just dump her out there. And a lot of people are saying, let Leda Tappa run wild in TNA. Let her mess with men as well as women. I think I heard a couple of people talk about it. But here's the problem, ladies and gentlemen. You got Gail Kim, Madison Rayne, ODB. You got Christy Hemme. You got Velvet Sky, and you got Terrence Terrell, who has not come back yet. I don't even know what's going to happen with Miss Tessmacher or Brooke. That's 7 women, not counting Leda Tappa. That's not much for someone that is still, in a sense, very green. She barely even been in the business 2 years when she went over to OVW. And now, since she came over there, came from over in OVW, which is maybe about 10 months, and then had maybe another 3 or 4 months. I don't believe TNA still believes she's ready. So she's where she is right now. Gail Kim's lackey. Do I want to see this? No, I want to see something different. I'd rather see Leda Tappa just be thrown out there to see what's going to happen. I knew that maybe between 4 to 6 months, eventually she would go off on her own and maybe go after the title. And that could still happen. It's still pretty early. It's maybe about 4 or 5 months. But this is what I'm seeing. Now, the next match simply was pretty damn good. The Wolves against Bad Influence, baby. I am happy to see this. It was a good match, and it goes on to what's going to happen in Lockdown, which I'll explain later. They did a good job. In the end, the Wolves won, which I don't have a problem with. They need to get over, particularly that they're going to try and make MVP look stronger than he is. If he's the one that's going to win at Lockdown, he needs a strong enforcer force to be by his side. So I don't have a problem of Bad Influence losing. That doesn't take anything away from them. And the last match will be Gunner versus Magnus. I could leave this for the last, but I'm just getting all the matches out of the way. Before the matches start, they had some very nice video packages on Magnus and Gunner. Gunner's package was very well done, showing how he progressed from being a kid into high school, into the military, coming out of the military, his love for it. They did a very good job to paint a very distinctive picture of Gunner, which will stick with him from now on, which is very good, which we need. We needed more information about Gunner. We just didn't know that much about the American Viking. We just didn't know that. But in the end, when it came to the match, the person that got spotlighted the most was Gunner. Because in the end, it wasn't Magnus that was the most important aspect here. Maybe that might have been a little bit of a hurt for him. Even though he won the match, and it wasn't a bad match between the two. They actually did some good work in the ring. The point of this is, they really want to spotlight Gunner. So that's the reason why we got a James Storm super kicking him in the damn face. Or at least in the chest, baby. And that kind of leaves me what I'm next going to talk about. That is Gunner, Storm, and Robert Roode. You got the Storm and Gunner talk just before that match, which was alright, and I didn't expect Storm to turn heel. I didn't. But when I originally saw him talking with Roode, that kind of made me think, what the hell's going on between Roode and what's going on with Storm? Storm rather super kicked the hell out of Roode than actually talk to him. But since what happened last week, and as I've been very upset for quite a while because of what's been going on. I'm not going to rehash it. But I really didn't watch that impact. Not really. So I didn't really see what happened to Roode. But seeing this video segment with Storm and Roode really gave me a sense that Roode really wanted to do something with himself. He wanted maybe not to change, but to do something. And I enjoyed this segment. It was good to see Roode talk about the past, talk about the present, what he would be doing in the future, and then the interaction with Storm made me realize that I said many, many months ago, almost a year ago, that Roode and Storm would go back together. And this is the catalyst for that. Seeing Storm get the briefcase from Gunner for the tag team championships really made me feel that by the time the show was over, Roode and Storm may get back together. And after seeing Storm super kick Gunner, that makes me really believe that, especially that even though Bad Influence lost here, does not mean they will not be picked by Robert Roode. And the last person Robert Roode will go to will be Storm. That's what I believe. But I don't believe he's going to go to him until Gunner has a fight with Storm. So that's probably going to come next week. Probably a fist fight. Maybe a match. I'm hoping no matches will happen. Maybe a match, not this week, but the week after. Because that's what I'm hoping for. Storm and Gunner will have a match the week before Lockdown, which will give us something really to work with. I think that we still have like 2 or 3 weeks left. So we still have 3 impacts to really build up a character, a feud between these two guys, and give a reason for a Roode and a Storm to come back together for the first time since they broke up. And when it comes to MVP, I know, like I said in the very beginning of this review, not many people like MVP. Not many people want to see this storyline of power struggle again. I know that. But the way they're trying to do it with new, fresh faces gives you a different perspective. We need a new perspective in the wrestling business because look, we've seen the same old people in TNA over and over again. I know MVP's an old WWE guy, I know. But the Wolves are not. And the Wolves could be the one that get over more than MVP, even though we probably know he's not. They're not going to. It's going to be MVP that's going to get over more. But still, the Wolves are being spotlighted. We get Magnus still being spotlighted. Again, Samoa Joe now is being spotlighted, who should have been spotlighted for quite a long time. EC3 has been spotlighted. Oh, Samuel Shaw, I ain't forgetting. Samuel Shaw right now is getting a prominent storyline with Christy Hemme. He attacks two guys, one other guy, and Mr. Anderson. Now it's a possibility we're going to have a Anderson-Shaw feud. I want to see this feud. I want to see Samuel Shaw have a feud with a Mr. Anderson who's pretty good in storylines. He can be. Look what happened with him and, oh, maybe I shouldn't be mentioning Matt Morgan, but you know what? At one point, Matt Morgan and him had a very interesting storyline together. But still, this is something different. We're finally getting some new content, even though it's with old faces and most of it is old rehashing. It's new content to us. So I didn't mind this Manchester, England impact. In fact, I enjoyed it. Where, well, what's going on with Eli and Abyss is now just simply been dropped. Maybe that's the best thing to do, okay? I want to see what they're going to do with Jeff Hardy, who now is Willow. It's Jeff Hardy to me. If he isn't Jeff Hardy, tell me below. But it looks like Jeff Hardy's getting a repackaging into a new character who is Willow. They could be doing like a Hulk Hogan type of thing where he was Mr. America. When he was back in the WWE and everybody knew he was Mr. America. Until he took off that mask, everyone knew and he just became more epic. This is some new stuff we're getting. And we should praise TNA. It may not be perfect. Look what happened with Mike Tenay saying simply with Robert Roode, hey, Robert Roode convinced Dixie to give him 10%. Well, actually, it was Dixie who gave the opportunity to Robert Roode to get 10%. If he becomes the captain of her team. And that segment and the first segment of the night was a little long, but still it wasn't bad between MVP and Magnus being called a biatch. That wasn't bad. But I enjoyed this show. Was it perfect? No. But it is giving a very great interest in TNA. So I hope you enjoyed the Zane view. Give me a comment below what you believe this Manchester Impact is. And I just want to say this briefly that I'm sorry this is very late. Like I said before, I don't want to rehash how bad things have been in the last couple of months. It has been very stressful. And I've been feeling still a little upset about what happened with my aunt. That's the reason why that when you see this video uploaded, you may see a couple of more. I'm going to work on putting out more content to really give me something in here. I'm hoping you enjoy the other content that's going to be coming out. I'm going to be seeing if I can do a debate, well, maybe a mixed bag of wrestling, and I'm going to see if I can do a prediction for Elimination Chamber. I'm going to try and work on putting more content out because I really do love doing these videos. I don't want to quit. So I hope you like this video. Give me your thoughts.